What if I told you that one of the most common childhood motor disabilities isn't a single condition, but a vast and varied spectrum of human experience? What if we looked past the label and into the intricate story of the brain itself? This is cerebral palsy. It's a story of resilience, adaptation, and the remarkable plasticity of the human brain. Over the next several minutes, we will explore this complex condition, not with speed, but with depth, clarity, and a focus on the human lives at its center. So, what is cerebral palsy? The name itself offers a clue. Cerebral refers to the cerebrum, the part of the brain that directs motor function. Palsy means a disorder of movement or posture. Put them together and you have the fundamental definition. Cerebral palsy, or CP, is a group of permanent disorders affecting the development of movement and posture. These disorders are attributed to a non-progressive disturbance, a one-time injury, that occurred in the developing fetal or infant brain. This is a critical point. The initial injury to the brain does not get worse over time. Cerebral palsy is not a degenerative condition. The timing of this injury is key. Most often, it happens before birth, during the intricate process of brain development in the womb. Less commonly, it can occur during the process of birth or in the first couple of years of life when the brain is still in a critical phase of maturation. It's equally important to understand what cerebral palsy is not. It is not a disease you can catch, it is not contagious, and while the initial brain injury is static, the effects on the body can change over a person's lifetime due to growth, muscle changes, and the strain of atypical movement patterns. This is why lifelong management and support are so vital. How common is it? Cerebral palsy is the most common motor disability in childhood, affecting an estimated 17 million people across the globe. In the United States, about 1 in every 345 children is identified with CP. While the exact cause of the brain injury can't always be identified, several risk factors are known to increase the likelihood. The single biggest risk factor is prematurity. A baby born before 37 weeks and especially before 28 weeks has a significantly higher risk because their brain is more vulnerable, with fragile blood vessels and incomplete development. Low birth weight is closely linked to this. Other factors can include certain infections in the mother during pregnancy, a stroke affecting the infant's brain around the time of birth, or severe, untreated jaundice, where high levels of bilirubin can be toxic to brain cells. So, what does cerebral palsy look like? The answer is complex because it depends entirely on which part of the brain was injured and the extent of that injury. The most common type, accounting for about 80% of cases, is spastic CP. This type results from damage to the brain's motor cortex. It's characterized by increased muscle tone, meaning muscles are stiff and tight, leading to movements that can appear awkward or jerky. Then there is dyskinetic CP, which stems from damage to the basal ganglia. This brain region is responsible for regulating voluntary movements. When it's injured, it can lead to involuntary movements that are out of the person's control. These can be twisting and repetitive, known as dystonia, or slow and writhing, known as athetosis. Ataxic CP is the least common type and is caused by damage to the cerebellum, the brain's center for balance and coordination. This results in shaky movements and tremors. Individuals may have trouble with tasks that require precise motor control, like writing or buttoning a shirt, and often have an unsteady walk. Finally, it's not uncommon for a person to have mixed CP, showing symptoms of more than one type, because their brain injury affects multiple areas. The impact of CP is also described by which parts of the body are affected. It might affect just one limb or one side of the body, which is called hemiplegia. It might primarily affect the legs, known as diplegia, or it can impact the entire body, both arms, both legs, and the trunk, which is called quadriplegia. This incredible diversity is why CP is truly a spectrum. No two people experience it in exactly the same way. It's a common misconception that cerebral palsy is linked to intellectual ability. The brain injury that causes CP affects motor control centers, which are distinct from the areas responsible for cognition. While some individuals with CP may also have co-occurring conditions like intellectual or learning differences, many have typical or above-average intelligence. The challenge is often not one of intellect but of expression, finding ways to communicate and demonstrate knowledge when motor control is a barrier. Beyond movement, there can be other associated challenges. Difficulties with the muscles of the mouth and tongue can lead to speech challenges. Issues with eye muscle control can cause vision problems. Hearing challenges can also co-occur. Furthermore, because the brain injury can cause abnormal electrical activity. About 40% of children with CP may also experience seizures. Each of these requires its own specific diagnosis and management plan. Diagnosing cerebral palsy is not a simple blood test. It's a clinical process, an act of careful observation over time. Doctors look for developmental delays, like not rolling over, sitting or walking at the expected age. They assess the child's movement patterns, their muscle tone, posture, and reflexes. To confirm the diagnosis and rule out other conditions, a doctor may order brain imaging, like an MRI or a CT scan, to look for the underlying injury. There is no cure for the initial brain injury that causes cerebral palsy. But there is always progress. The brain is not static. Through a remarkable process called neuroplasticity, the brain can reorganize itself, forming new neural pathways to compensate for the injured areas. This is where intervention becomes transformative. Early and consistent intervention changes lives. A dedicated team of specialists works with the individual and their family. Physical therapy focuses on improving mobility, strength, and balance. Occupational therapy helps develop the fine motor skills needed for daily life. Eating, dressing, writing. Speech therapy addresses challenges with communication as well as swallowing. Together, these therapies build strength, improve flexibility, maximize function, and empower communication. Medical treatments can also play a crucial role. Medications like baclofen, often delivered via a surgically implanted pump for greater effect, can help relax chronically stiff muscles. Injections of botulinum toxin, the same substance used in cosmetics, can be targeted to specific spastic muscles, temporarily relaxing them to improve range of motion and reduce pain, creating a valuable window for more effective physical therapy. Technology and adaptive equipment are essential tools for independence. Orthotics, or braces, can support limbs, prevent deformities, and help with walking. Walkers and wheelchairs provide mobility and freedom. And for those with significant speech challenges, augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC, is life-changing. These systems range from simple picture boards to sophisticated eye-gaze devices that track eye movements to select letters and words, which are then spoken by a computer. AAC gives a voice to those who cannot speak, unlocking their thoughts, ideas, and personalities for the world to hear. In some cases, surgery may be an option. Orthopedic surgery can lengthen tight muscles and tendons, or correct bone deformities, to improve posture and walking. For select cases of severe spasticity in the legs, a complex neurosurgical procedure called selective dorsal rhizotomy, or SDR, can be performed. In SDR, surgeons selectively cut overactive nerve rootlets in the spinal cord to permanently reduce spasticity. With the right support, technology, and access, life with cerebral palsy is a life of possibility. Adults with CP can and do work, drive, parent, compete in sports, and thrive in their communities. The journey involves managing health, conserving energy, and adapting to changes as the body ages, but it is a full and meaningful life. This brings us to the most important point. The goal isn't to fix a person with cerebral palsy. The goal is to remove barriers. It's about creating a world with universal access, fostering advocacy, and building a supportive community. It's about seeing the whole person, not just the diagnosis. So here is your call to action. Learn about the person, not the condition. Advocate for and support accessibility in your community, in buildings, parks, and online. Champion adaptive sports and truly inclusive schools where all children can learn and grow together. If you are a parent or caregiver with concerns about your child's development, do not wait. Ask your doctor about early intervention services today. The sooner a child gets support, the greater the impact. Share this knowledge. Spark a conversation with your friends, family, and colleagues. Awareness is the first step toward acceptance and inclusion. Be the ally who listens, who learns, and who makes space for everyone to participate fully in the world.